I guess we're live. I guess we are live. I don't know. This is my first time. And of course, the neighbor was just tapping on the door. So I had to deal with him. That's funny. Okay, we're live. Are we live or are we Memorex? What the hell is this? Welcome to live chat. Remember to open your privacy and abide by the chickie. Okay, whatever. That's fine. Are we live? Let me see if I can find a timer anywhere. I don't think so. That's fine. Welcome, everybody. Happy Sunday. Let me set up a timer. Of course, I'm late. Anyway, here we go. Welcome and thank you for everybody who's got up early and got up at your regular time. And if you've got your coffee and you're settled in, let's go ahead and get going. I respect your time, and we'll get right into this right now. My name is Jack Carter. I run a website called jackcarterbooks.com. That's my book. You see it behind me, Happiness Habit. There are others too. Today we're talking about what is my purpose in life? Why am I here? What is my purpose? What am I doing here? Why was I put here? Why was I born, and why was I born here onto this plane, onto this planet? You can't say you can't spell the word planet without plane, and that's where we live on. We live on a plane, right? So what is my purpose? Why am I here? What am I supposed to be doing here? Right? And I think a lot of people look for meaning in life through success, acquisition, relationships, having children, raising families, achievement, status. Why am I here? Well, in about 10 years, we're hoping to move this part of town and move over to that nice part of town. If we get over to that nice part of town, then we'll be happy. We'll be happy if we can get over there. The thing is, people do that and more. People make a lot of money. There are people out there with a lot of money. There are people out there with a lot of all the college degrees you could shake a stick at. There are families with 6 kids, 8 kids. They've had the kids, they've made the money. There are people living in the beautiful big mansions. If you go a quarter mile south of here, it's like mega mansions down there. That's where the rich people live. And yet, I don't know about you, I don't know your experience, but I'll speak for myself. When I go to the store, when I go get gas, when I run over to Target because I need something, or I'll drive farther, go over to Walmart because I need something, whatever. When I'm out among John Q. Public, I don't see a whole lot of happy people out there. I don't see a whole lot of people. What I see is unhappy people. I see people who are in a big rush to get everywhere. Right? I see, man, I was feeling it. I forget where I was. It was yesterday. I forget where I was, but it felt like you can go somewhere and you can kind of feel the collective group. You can feel kind of what's happening. I felt a lot of tension. Oh, I know. It was a market north of me, up about a mile and a half north. I went up there I needed tortillas because I had fresh. I got a lot of chicken from Costco. I bought one of those fresh rotisserie chickens, and I wanted to make like burritos, for kind of a late lunch, early dinner type thing. So, but I was fresh out of tortillas, so I went up there, and you could just feel it. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to say, oh, there was nothing wrong. No, there was a lot of things wrong. Pull the camera back. There's a lot of things wrong with people, human beings, people. There are things wrong with people, whether they want to admit it or not, which pretty much brings us to our second point, which is self-honesty. How honest can I be with myself? Am I willing to admit that my life is not as absolutely perfect as I like to pretend that it is? I get invited to a dinner party. I'm talking with, maybe you're talking with your kids, some parents of your kids' friends, or your own relatives, your friends. You're talking to them, and hey, yeah, everything's great, everything's wonderful. How are you? How are you, Joe? Oh, I'm wonderful. Mary, how about you? Mary says, well, I'm wonderful too. Oh, isn't that fantastic? How come when I go to the market and I observe people, I look and you don't stare at people, but you glance at them. You can't help it. You're pushing your cart down the aisle. How come when I'm out among John Q. Public, when I'm out among the great unwashed, how come I see unhappy people in a big rush, people who they're really scared. Prices on everything are going up, and everybody's asking the same question: how am I supposed to afford this? Right? How am I going to afford all these rising prices? Price of gas, everything, rent, food, insurance. People are scared. Are they willing to admit it? Not so much, because everybody's still pretending. A life of pretense is it's a big burden, because you have to drag your pretense with you. I had a relative who was an unhappy lady. However, when she got invited to like a Saturday night dinner party or whatever, party or a family function, or she's going out with her friends, her favorite thing was to get invited up for dinner. So I saw her because, we grew up in the same house. I know her MO. I know how she functioned. She'd be in the restroom at 4 p.m. in the afternoon, getting ready for the 7 p.m. dinner date. It'd take her 3 hours to get ready. She's in there primping, getting herself ready, and that takes time. So lock the door and leave me alone. I got to get ready for my 7 o'clock dinner date. That's when she came alive. When she could go out to a restaurant, and especially if there was a table of 6 or 8 people, she'd put on a show. And it was all pretense. She was really good at it. But that's when she came into her own. That was her favorite, single most absolute favorite thing in life, was to go out and put on a show. And that's what it was. It was a show. You know what I mean? Because if there was not a dinner party going on, if there were no plans for the future coming up, she was not a happy, content, whole human being. So how do I put a nose on this? My purpose in life, if I leave that to the world, what's the world going to say? Jack, your purpose in life is to, here's what I heard. Maybe you heard differently, but your purpose in life, Jack, is to go out, um, get educated, educate yourself to the best of your ability. First, you're going to go through our socialization process, elementary school, right? Kindergarten, elementary school, right? We get socialized. That's how society, the world, begins to form us into the shape that it wants us to be. If you think if you think that is inaccurate, then let me ask you this. You're a child. You remember this. Years back, you're a child. You're on the playground. The bell rings. What does that mean? You just heard a bell. The bell means, oh, the, no words were spoken, just a bell rang, a loud bell. What does that mean? You're out playing, you're having fun with your friends, and then you hear that bell. That bell means hustle back into the classroom, right? Recess is over, hustle back into the classroom. Or let's say it's the beginning of the day and you hear that bell. What does that mean? It means get to class. So okay, oh, hey, I'll see you at lunch and all that. You tell your friends, and then you hustle. You really do hustle into the room 7, Mrs. Jones, wherever you were going. I had Mrs. Quimby, right? 4th grade. So you hustle up, and there you are. You're in the classroom. You've got your chair. You know right where to sit. You're sitting next to. I remember I sat next to. One year, I was so lucky. I was so happy. I was sitting next to Lisa Evola. She was the prettiest girl at Montezuma Elementary, and I was sitting next to her. And boy, were my friends jealous. Boy, did they hate that. And boy, did I rub it in too. Boy, did I let them know that, hey, you know, my anyway, that was happening. You remember being in school. So what happens though? So you sit in class, you go through your lessons, you're listening to the Charlie Brown teacher up front. Wah, 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 wah. You do your lessons. The bell rings again, right? The bell is on auto. What do you do then? Everybody knows what you do. You leave the classroom. You go back outside and you're playing around. Maybe you go to lunch. Maybe that's the lunch bell. So then you eat. 45 minutes, an hour, right? You go you kick the ball around after you eat, you play with your friends. Hey, eat, hurry up and eat. Let's go play kickball, right? Or foursquare, whatever. Let's go play dodgeball. Bell rings again, you're back in the classroom. 2 more hours. Bell rings again, you leave for the day. Yay. It's like on The Simpsons when the kids get released from school. Yay, they're so happy. They can't hit that gate quick enough and they're gone. They don't want to be stuck in that campus. Nobody does. So, what was happening? If you don't think that you and I were socialized as children, as growing up, what was happening there? Just with that bell, we were being prepared for life in the factory. We were being prepared for life as adults. You're going to learn how to stand in a line, Jack, whether you like it or not. And if you don't stand in line, there's going to be some punishment for you. We'll take care of you. See, my point is we got socialized. So the world has been telling us how to live from day one. If you're born a boy, the nursery gets painted light blue. If you're born a girl, the nursery gets painted pink. And they give you dolls. And if you're a boy, they hand you a football and a baseball and a glove and a hat. There's all kinds of things for being a boy. And there's all kinds of things for being a girl. We're not going to get into that right now. My point is we got socialized. So what's the world's formula for being happy? The world, and look at the book. See the book, The Happiness Habit. Okay, so we'll get into that. But the world's formula for being happy is educate yourself to the best of your ability, right? Get all the degrees you need, go out into the world and start working. Go get that job. Go make that money. Somewhere in the middle of all that, find a significant other, get married. The world loves marriage. The contract, the piece of paper, the world loves that. The world likes things that are official, and the world likes things that it is part of. It's a license. A marriage is a license. That's one of the reasons I hated about mine was all of a sudden, I had a nice, pleasant relationship with somebody, and all of a sudden we couldn't just be together. It had to be official, officiated, a piece of paper. Other people had to be involved with us. All of a sudden, something that was relaxed and natural became stiff and formal. That should have been a red flag. And it was. The problem was I kept my mouth shut, which is, it's okay to vocalize your opinion. I learned a big lesson. So, what's the world's formula for being happy? Educate yourself to the best of your ability, find your significant other, start having children, procreate, go have your 2.2 kids, national average 2.2. It's more than two and not quite three. It's 2.2 kids. That poor little 0.2 child walking around somewhere. Just up to the knees, walking around, a pair of knees. You see where we're getting at? The world's formula. And then what does it say? So then I'm approaching middle age. I've got my marriage, my kids, my degrees. I'm working my tail off. I'm working my fingers to the bone. My wife is too. The kids, we're dealing with that too as we go along. It's a day-to-day struggle. So look, pull the camera back. World, I've done everything you told me to do to get happy, comma, how come I'm not happy? How come when I go to the store and I glance at fellow shoppers, I don't see a lot of happy people? Maybe you do. My experience is I don't see a lot of happy people. I see a lot of miserable people. So my point is the world's method for getting happy, for obtaining happiness, for achieving happiness, for being, how about just content with life? How about just being satisfied with life? You remember Prince, the artist formerly known as Prince, and he sang that song, When Doves Cry. And one of the lines in that song is, sometimes I'm just like my mother. She's never satisfied, right? Then the backup singer comes in. She's never satisfied, right? Sometimes I'm just like my mother. 2-4. She's never satisfied. Why does that line resonate? Because it's true. I know a lot of unsatisfied people. Everybody I know is unsatisfied. Everybody. Pardon me. Everybody. Rolling Stone magazine publisher Jan Wenner, who named his magazine when he was in college, created on his kitchen table, named it Rolling Stone after his favorite rock and roll band of all time. Rolling Stone magazine, a reader's poll, voted the Rolling Stones song Satisfaction, I Can't Get No Satisfaction, as the number one rock and roll song of all time. Why? Because not only does it have a really killer, the guitar riff, Keith Richards, is awesome, right? Right? That's a great riff. And the drums are great. The bass is great. Vocals are good. Jagger, and that's Jagger. Because that song, your vocals, see, Jagger was saying all the way through, your vocals, they don't have to be polished. In fact, why can't vocals be as rough as the music is? Because the Beatles gave us nice, soft, polished music. much of the time, not always. But the Stones came out and said, "Nah, to heck with that. Let's just play rough and haggard. Let's just show them warts and all. Let's just be what we are, pretty much." And which actually, you know, I'm not here to talk about Rolling Stones music and all that, but we're getting to a point. So the number one song of all time is "I Can't Get No Satisfaction." The lyrics of that song are what, or is what, resonated with people. So people were like, "That's the song I relate to the most out of every single rock and roll song that's ever been written and recorded. That one, that's the one they chose." So that all these things are telling me. Sometimes I just like my mother, she's never satisfied. Stones, all these things. The looks on the looks on people's faces when I go to the store and I'm just shopping. I just got to get bananas, milk, eggs, bread, butter. I just got to get a few things, and I can't help but notice everyone's in a rush. Parking is like nuts. It's like you drive over to the store, you're taking your life in your hands, because people are. Remember this one too. An old timer told me this. He told me rudeness is of the devil. When you see rude people acting rudely, that's not pleasant. That's not like a higher, because human beings, we can be really low and vile, but we're also capable of some incredible things too. See, so it pretty much it runs the gamut. It runs the gamut. So my point is the world's method for getting happy doesn't work, because if it worked, everybody you know would be elated. They'd be happy. They'd be content. They'd be so happy they'd have to go to a plastic surgeon to get the smile removed from their face, because they'd be so happy. They would really be happy. They would resonate with happiness. They would vibrate with happiness. They'd be elated. And you can actually attain a higher emotional psychological state. You can attain the higher state of happiness, of personal contentment. But you first have to do one thing that's really, really, really important, and that is admit that you're unhappy. You can't, your rocket will not leave the launch pad if you don't admit to yourself, not to anybody else, but if you don't admit to yourself that you are, pardon me, that you are unhappy. You'll never get happy until you admit your actual state. So, what is your purpose in life? What is my purpose in life? It's not to make a lot of money. It's not to procreate. See, the world was wrong. I don't care if I'm the last man standing. I don't care if I say that to my dying breath, but this world, it's not right. Everything is not going the way it should be, or it could be, you know. And if the world's method to finding personal fulfillment, personal happiness, personal contentment, if that's not right, if that's not the way to go, what is the way to go? And you can answer that question by asking yourself, what how do you think nature wants us to live? What do you think the natural thing is? What do you think the most natural thing? What do you think the most natural way to live is, or would be? And the answer to that is your actual factual real purpose of why you're here. See, we're not here to make a lot of money. It's not wrong to have money, and it's not wrong to live in a big house, and it's not wrong to have kids, 2.2 or 6 or 8. That's not wrong at all. There's nothing wrong with any of that. What's wrong is when I'm focused on the exterior, thinking that the exterior in any way is going to make me happy, because it can't. The the exterior, it's not in its makeup to make me happy. It can't, because it's outside of me. See, what me is, people are always saying, I don't know who I am. I don't know who I am or what I should be doing. I'm not, which also means I'm not living in accordance with nature. You know what nature wants us to be doing? Nature wants you and I to be living from self. Nature wants you and I to be in a state of self-awareness. See, if I'm focused on the exterior, if I'm focused on all these exterior things like, obsessing over the front lawn and making sure the front lawn is fine and making sure the car is washed and making sure the kids are all okay and, making sure the house is painted and I'm wearing the right clothes and I've got something to do tonight. If I'm obsessed with the exterior, I won't pay any attention to the interior. And what nobody ever told you in school when you were a child growing up or young adult or any of that, what no one's ever told you is that your life is not on the exterior. Your life is not on the outside of you. Your life is on the inside of you. The only life that matters is your inner life. What's happening inside you. You are not your driver's license. Driver's license. If I can say it, my voice is changing. You are not your driver's license. That's not you. You are not your possessions. You are not your kids. You are not your spouse, your money, your bank accounts. That's not you. That has nothing to do with you. You can't find happiness from any of that. What is you is your psychology, your mind, the way it operates, your emotions, the way they presently operate, your inner state, your innerness is you. That's the authentic you. You have to know self if you want to be happy. You have to admit to yourself, I'm not happy. I'm not happy because I have followed the world's method of getting happy, and therefore I'm not happy. If I learn to, instead of focusing on the exterior, if I learn to begin to focus on the interior, my life will change, and my life will change radically, and it'll get much, 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 much better, and I'll get much, 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 much happier if I can do that. If I can, because not everyone can do it, but if I can go from living for the exterior to living for the interior, if I can begin to put self-observation first, my life will change, and it'll change radically. This is the way nature wants us to live. The world doesn't tell us that because the world doesn't know that. The world is ignorant of the ways of self-observation. They have no idea what you're talking about. You walk up to any of your friends or family and say, hey, you know what I learned? I heard something about self-observation. They're going to go, what? Self what? What are you talking about? Self-observation has nothing to do with being self-absorbed. It has nothing to do with being conceited or full of self. It's not selfish at all. It's finally putting everything in their natural order. We talked about nature before. How does nature want me to live? I've lived the way the world wants me to live. It doesn't work. That's the painful path. If I want a life of pain, I'll keep living the way the world wants me to, making money, having kids, buying a bigger house because where I live, it's not enough. I need a bigger one. I need to compete with the Joneses. I need to keep up with the Joneses. You know, that's a dead end. The problem with a lot of people is they're stuck in that and they don't know how to get out. I'm not here to tell you how to get out of it either. But see, you can have all those things of this world. The only thing that needs to be altered, changed, is the direction of your focus. Instead of instead of being absorbed with what's happening outside of me, I need to become absorbed first with what's happening inside of me. What does that mean? It means that when I get up in the morning, the first thing I do when I slide out of bed, when I have a wood floor, when I touch the cold floor on the bare feet, I know that I just touched the floor. I know it. Okay, I know that the feet just touched the floor. I know that I just stood up. Okay, I'm alert and I'm aware. And when I walk through the bedroom and into the hall, I know that I just left the bedroom. One of the exercises I do is when you go through a doorway, you know that you're going through a doorway. The exercise for today that I'll leave you with when we close is the next time I reach for a doorknob to open the door, know that I'm reaching for that doorknob. And what's going to happen is you're going to forget to tell yourself to reach for the doorknob, but you'll remember it later. And that's to remember it later is a fantastic thing. So here's what we've covered. The world's method for being happy, for finding happiness, doesn't work. If it worked, everybody you know would be elated. They'd be so happy, you know, that there'd be no divorce rate. What is it, 64% right now? People would be so polite and deferential and kind to each other. They'd be, you'd be so happy. You'd be, so every day would be like, wow, I can't believe I've been given another day to live. And, you'd be so happy you wouldn't have a single care, worry, or problem in the world at all. But the world's method does not work. If you are still stuck in the world's method for finding happiness, it's okay if you have all those things from this world. The only thing we were ever directed to do from nature herself, nature gave us, breathed into us at the moment of conception, the ability to self-observe. You were given that. You have that ability. Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, which exists inside of you, and all else will be given unto you, which means put the horse before the cart, and the horse is self-observation. Observe yourself as you go through the day. You woke up, you're in the bedroom, you're going into the hall, you go to the restroom, and I keep a water cup, you get a drink of water, you freshen up, and then you walk out into the living room and the kitchen, whatever, and you're doing these things. I just picked up a pen. And so when I reach for the pen, I know that I'm holding this pen. I know that I'm reaching for the pen. I'm living in a state of observation. I'm living in a state of self-awareness. Do that. If you can breathe, you can self-observe. If you can breathe, you can come home to yourself, right? This is the method to happiness. The world doesn't teach this because the world doesn't know it. You can't teach what you don't know. And if you want a better way to live, if you want a happier life, If you want to get rid of your problems instead of hanging on to them, so because it gives you something to do, if you're one of the rare human beings who actually want to live a better life, join us every Sunday morning. I'm going to be here. I'm going to walk you through this. Avail yourself of this, because self observation, I'm telling you, it is the only way to fly. There is no other way at all. So we just learned what our actual real purpose in life is, and our purpose is to learn how to self-observe. Our purpose is to start doing what nature intended us to do. Nature wants us to be self-observing. When I observe myself, I learn about myself, I discover myself. And this gives self-knowledge. Self-knowledge equals other knowledge. Once I know self, I also understand you, and I understand why you do the things that you do. Okay, so it is unbelievable. Avail yourself of this. Before we go, simple exercise for the week: when you reach for a doorknob to open a door, know that you're reaching for that doorknob. Okay, that's exercise for the week. Become fully aware that you're touching that doorknob. So use that as a reminder to wake up and be present, and that takes no effort at all. It really it doesn't, and it'll become a habit. The happiness habit. That's what the happiness habit is. It's learning how to self-observe. Then you'll have everything that this world has given to you, but you'll also have yourself. You'll have a life. You won't be unhappy anymore. You'll be happy. So, pardon me. If you would like to explore these ideas further, please visit jackcarterbooks.com. You'll find books on emotional freedom, self-observation, relationships, narcissism, and personal growth. All titles are available as PDFs and EPUBs. That means you can read them on your computers, tablets, phones, and e-readers. I am actively recording audiobook versions that will be available by mid-July, probably. We meet here at this channel every Sunday, 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern. If you missed part of today's talk, the replay will be available here on the channel shortly. Have a great week. I will see you all next Sunday.